Quick, look outside. Do you see it? That's your adversary. It's the sun, and you better race it. I'm here with Aaron, the head of Flippfly and developer of Race the Sun.
Yes.
So what exactly is happening in Race the Sun?
So the basic premise is that you're a solar power craft, and so when the sun goes down, you're running out of power, and it's game over when it goes all the way down below the horizon. So it's kind of just like an endless race against the inevitable end, I guess. So.
Now, when I first saw it, the one game that came to mind was Star Fox,
Yeah.
Super Nintendo. Were there any other particular games or other sources of inspiration in creating Race the Sun?
Sure. So Star Fox was a huge inspiration for us. We always used to play it on the Super Nintendo, like the original Super Nintendo version. That was like, for us, that was kind of like the definitive version, you know. So the visuals were obviously an inspiration. The game concept itself and the look of it kind of iterated. It was an evolution that happened over a series of months, just like while we were developing it. The first version didn't actually have the sun in it. It was just kind of like racing against obstacles with no particular reason. So it's very much just like a iterative, kind of like try something and see if it works, and oh, here's a cool idea, let's try that too. So.
Now, one thing I noticed was that every 24 hours, the worlds and the regions essentially shift and change, and there's also the teleportation to different worlds made by fans as well as you guys. How did that come about? Was that like initially part of the plan?
No, it was actually something that, again, it was just like an idea that we had mid-development, and so we were very much like open development with the game, and when we launched the Kickstarter, that was just like one of the ideas that we had to kind of like add more value to it and do new interesting things, and we really wanted to like go beyond the stereotypical like endless racer, endless runner, so the whole idea of a world portal that would take you to custom user created worlds was just like a cool way to like involve the modding community directly into the game itself. So
yeah, I was going to ask that. It was in fact gone through Kickstarter and successful. How was that experience? And and for anybody else who's going into crowdfunding, what would you recommend they do before and during their Kickstarters?
Sure. So the Kickstarter actually got off to a really slow start, and it was really good for us and for the game because I think it helped us realize that we really needed to work on the visual aspect of the game a lot more. And so we actually went back to the drawing board like during the Kickstarter, and I worked on the level editor, and my brother Forrest worked on like creating a new world, and we basically tossed out everything that we had done so far, and just for like 2 weeks during the Kickstarter just kind of rebuilt it all from scratch essentially. And then we came out with a week left and like showed the new stuff, which is what you see now more or less, and it was just like 10 times better. So Kickstarter is a really good way of just kind of like putting things in front of gamers and saying like, what do you think of this? And even if the Kickstarter fails, it's a good way of like learning what people value about it and what they don't understand and stuff like that. And so I guess the one piece of advice I would have for people is really work on the visuals and the presentation and try to like have confidence in that before you bring it to people. And that's kind of one thing we're working on with our next game. So
now, after the game has gone out to Steam as it is right now, but you recently got into a release that's coming out for the PlayStation Network. Can you elaborate on what's being added or modified for the PlayStation release?
Sure. So first of all, we're going to do cross-buy, so you'll be able to buy it on PS3, PS4, and Vita, and cross-save, so it'll have like a cloud save type system. We're going to be adding an exclusive new mode to the PlayStation version 2. We haven't actually revealed what that is yet, but it's kind of still in development, which is the biggest reason. Not that we're being real secretive about it, but so there'll be new game mode, and we're talking about other features too that maybe would add new social things, or just like what else can we do that kind of fits that platform really well. So
yeah, and the Steam version has the Simplex World Creator, which allows people to make their own worlds and whatnot. Will you be incorporating this in the Sony version, or are you going to have pulling the best from those and incorporating them? How is that going to work out? Yeah,
we're still trying to work out the details on that. There's a couple of challenges with putting a level editor in the console version. One thing is just the controller support. It's not going to be quite as fun to actually do things that require lots of details and stuff like that. Another thing is Steam makes hosting and discovering and rating and commenting on worlds really easy. And that's one thing that's awesome about Workshop, is just that you can pop up the overlay and download new worlds and subscribe to them and like rate them and stuff like that. The Sony system doesn't seem to have that level of back end on it, so we're still trying to work out details. We might end up not having the level editor in the PSN version, but bringing some of the best content over there if we can work it out with our modders to kind of like grab that stuff and release it as like a free featured levels or something like that. So we're still working out the details, but we definitely want to like take the best of that stuff and let people experience it everywhere. So
All right. Now, outside of Race the Sun, I also see information about Hexarden. Are there any details you can let us know about that game?
Sure. So it's basically like the polar opposite of Race the Sun, which we're pretty excited about. Race the Sun was all about adrenaline and speed and excitement, and Hexarden is kind of like a slow, meditative puzzle game. And so the basic concept is that you're trying to arrange hexagon tiles in a garden, kind of like into the optimal arrangement to maximize the growth and harmony in your garden. So we're still working out the details of all the mechanics and kind of like the depth of all that, but it's basically kind of just like a slow, thoughtful puzzle game.
So on that note, when can we expect the PlayStation release of Race the Sun, as well as when can we hear more concrete information on Hexarden?
Sure. So the PlayStation version is coming summer 2014, hopefully towards the beginning part of summer, so you should see it pretty soon. Hexarden, we're still shooting for 2014, but we don't have a specific release window yet. So.
Okay, so you're here. We can wait until summer to try it out, or get on Steam right now and go ahead and Race the Sun. Go ahead. It's inevitable.